Welcome to the broadcast, my dears. We're going to have a good old giggle today and lots of juicy gossip. Lots of gossip coming up for you, my dear. It's tawdry, it's vulgar, and that's what makes it so much fun, doesn't it, my dears? So we're going to begin with something just a little bit more dignified and a little bit more royal, and that was the unveiling yesterday of the official coronation portraits for their majesties. It was 2 years ago yesterday on the 6th of May, which was also Archie's birthday, wasn't it? A bit of a clash there, and we're going to be speaking about his birthday in a little moment. But 2 years ago was the coronation, and to mark the occasion, these portraits were unveiled, and I'm so curious to hear your thoughts on these portraits. I always think it's unfair to judge them from a photo or from a video, because of course it's a completely different experience in person. The King's was painted by Peter Cuffold, and the Queen's by Paul Benny. And my dears, I've got to tell you, in all honesty, I am absolutely blown away, moved and thrilled by the Queen's portrait in particular. It is a work of magic. It is a study in the manipulation of light's expression, which is always what I look for in a painting, the way that an artist has a talent for expressing light and rendering light. And it is just so beautiful. And you could say that it flatters Camilla, but if you remember the day of the coronation, she did look absolutely splendid. She looked pretty and put together with impeccable makeup, and the Bruce Oldfield gown was so glorious. I'm not really a fan of photorealism in portraiture. I know that that's become the vogue in some circles, a sort of photorealism. This isn't that, but it is her, isn't it? It totally captures her. The colours that have been chosen to contrast with the gown bring out its splendour. The eyes twinkle. You see the Queen's lovely gardener's wrists with her Van Cleef and Arpels hanging off. Wonderful. Gemstones are beautifully realised. I'm absolutely in love. Will you please do me, Mr. Benny? Or Monsieur Benny, will you please do me and paint me like one of your French girls? Ooh la la. Actually, he is rather handsome, this Mr. Benny, and he's painted quite a few well-known faces in the past, but after a year working in secrecy, he said, "It was wildly unexpected and a huge honour to have received a request from Queen Camilla well before her coronation to take on this commission. Uniquely, I've had plenty of time and multiple sittings with the Queen to make sure I've done all I can do. Now I must let the wind take it." After a month at the National Gallery, the painting is going to be hung at Buckingham Palace in a room that's open to the public every summer, and I'll certainly be tempted to shuffle on down and see it. I don't know about you. He said, "It was an unprecedented pleasure to spend so much time with Her Majesty Camilla during our sitting. I was able to sketch and scrutinise the coronation crown. This extraordinary object was released from the Tower of London for only 1 day with a security detail in attendance to my temporary studio at Their Majesty's London residence, Clarence House." And another little bit of news for those of you who are enthusiasts of the crown jewels, because it sneaked in under the radar, but the crown that Camilla wore, that was previously known as the crown of Queen Mary for her coronation in 1911, has been renamed Queen Camilla's crown. After her transition from Mary of Teck to Queen Consort, Mary wore the crown as a circlet in the years after the coronation. And wasn't she the image of Lady Lou here? The absolute spit. And it was altered and reset by the jewellers, and it was stripped of the Koh-i-Noor diamond, currently under controversy, and replaced by a Cullinan, one of the Queen's favourites, and the arches were reduced from 8 of them to 4. Queen Camilla said of the painting, "I just love it," and I don't blame her. Now, I don't know if His Majesty is quite so enamoured of his, although he did praise its wonderful composition. Now, this painting is a little more challenging, isn't it, my dears? And it's received unfavourable reviews in some quarters, which make quite a good point about the fact that it's not as reproducible as Queen Camilla's, which is important for an official royal portrait, or as commanding. I do think it captures the King's thoughtful nature, and perhaps sadness. I sense a lot of sadness there. Charles is a joyful person, that's for sure, but he's certainly burdened. But I have to say, in spite of some of the harsh reviews of that portrait, and the fact that it might reveal a little too much of the King's fragility rather than his strength, I'll be very curious to hear what you, my basketeers, make of it. But of course, and as Meghan knows, the 6th of May is not only an anniversary for the coronation, it is the birthday of the King's grandson, Prince Archie of Sussex. And here he is, the boy in the striped pyjamas, brandished for their merchandising, as if he is a commodity for her brand. Brandished. 6 years old he is. Our son, she says, and poetically, our son, my only sunshine. Happy birthday to Archie. Thank you for all the love, prayers and warm wishes for our sweet boy. What warm wishes, Megan? The comments are off. So how have you been receiving warm wishes? And you claim that you don't read the socials and the dailies. So what warm wishes are you responding to? He's 6. Where did the time go? And then in parenthesis, and for all of you who came to celebrate with us at his party last weekend, thank you for making his birthday so incredibly special. Why are you telling all of this over your branded socials, Megan? What about your calligraphied bespoke compliment slip with HRH slapped all over it in vulgar style, with a pot of jam and a fruit basket and a candle that smells like your fanny? It really makes me wonder if this party was really all about your darling Archie, or the hostessing skills of Megalia Lawson, domestic goddess, with flower sprinkles all over the shop and a balloon arch. What a genius. You can just imagine her, can't you, my dears, playing Pass the Parcel. Do you have that in America? Pass the Parcel? I don't know. But you can just imagine her, let's play Pass the Parcel. Oops, it landed on me. It landed on Mama. What's inside? Oh, it's a diamond ring from Papa. How kind, except I wanted a larger stone. Harry, I want a larger one next time. I can hardly see it. H, go stand in the corner, H. And kids, let's play pin the tail on the donkey. And pass me the pin. If only he was hung like a donkey and not a stupid ass. Now, I wanted to settle a little matter on the subject of royal fathers and the names by which they go. I'm told that unsavoury characters have been attacking Prince William this week because Catherine was lip-read by a so-called lip-reading expert, having said something rather innocuous to Princess Charlotte. She said, "Doesn't Papa look smart today?" Very sweet. Well, of course, this set off an insignificant bunch of lunatics accusing the Waleses of imitating the Sussexes by calling their father Papa. I mean, absolutely absurd, but this is a thing. This is an attack that the Waleses have been under for apparently using the same name that Harry and Meghan use. Papa, I ask you. Well, Lizzie Davidson was one of many who commented on my channel, and I'm going to paraphrase you a little, Lizzie dear, but you said, my favourite thing from the D-Day event was the fact that Catherine called William Papa to Princess Charlotte. It made those sugars' heads explode, and they are now saying that the royals never called their parents Papa before, showing that they had no knowledge of the royal family before Meghan married into it. Well, quite, Lizzie Davidson. I mean, I'm not into all this sugar nonsense. I don't use that expression, but I know people do. But you make an extremely good point, my dear. These people are ignorant and stupid. Pa, Papa, Grandpapa are all natural and normal in our world, my dear. And also there is evidence going back to, well, over many years and many generations. There's much evidence of Papa being used, but you can look back at William's 42nd birthday when his children wished him a happy birthday to their Papa. From all of the children, the evidence is plain to see from years ago. And we also use Daddy in our world. Now, Daddy is fine. Dad doesn't sit quite so well with me. I'm a little bit old-fashioned, though. Dad has crept in, but really it's more middle class. Dad is more of a middle class sort of affair, you know, so it's a little too much so for my taste. But as I say, I am old-fashioned. And let's be clear, there's nothing more middle class than panicking about what's you and what's non-you. And you can read Nancy Mitford for more elucidation on that. So it wouldn't occur to me to give the matter any thought if it hadn't been brought to me, but if any detractors want more proof that Papa is normal and runs through the male line, I have it. Now, some of you have already seen what I'm about to show, but it's been a couple of years and I've acquired some new viewers since then, so it'll be nice for them to see this. But here's a family tree written in the hand of the late Prince Philip. And he wrote it for the young Prince Charles when little Charles was a boy. And this was part of a collection of Henry Ramsay Maull, who was collating lots of bits and pieces for a royal-approved biography of Prince Philip, you see, but he died during the making of this biography, so it was never published. But he had lots of bits and bobs like this family tree and like drawings that Prince Charles had done as a young boy, and these pieces came up for auction, and after they were auctioned, one of these pieces was resold, and eventually it ended up in my hands as a birthday gift. One of the drawings says, "I'm longing to see Papa in the ship." And here is my lovely drawing for those of you who have yet to see it. My lovely drawing of a rabbit and some nature by the very hand of our king when he was Prince Charles. Isn't that wonderful, my dear? And the reason I'm showing it to you as evidence of Papa is that it was once upon a time folded and put into an envelope for Charles's beloved Papa. There it is, written in red, yellow, pink, is that? I don't know, and black. Papa! So put that in your pipe and smoke it, my dears. Now, let's get on to the juice surrounding Harry this week, because this is quite a significant moment, I fancy, quite a significant moment. I'm trying not to allow my tiara to clash with the flowers. I'm sorry, my dear. I did try moving them about before I recorded, but it was getting a bit too involved, and I don't want to be too perfectionist about it, my dear, so I'm afraid you have to put up with it while I wriggle about. But now, most of Harry's chums and his associates, or his former chums and associates, tend to keep it stum on the affairs of the last few years, because you don't go public with this sort of thing without a lot of provocation. Well, there has been a lot of provocation. And it continues after all of these years with the BBC interview. They don't go public with their opinions usually, but Ben Goldsmith has come forward with his opinion, and this is very significant and rather wonderful. "Tragic but true," he said. "Prince Harry's behaviour is unforgivable." Unforgivable. And I actually think that it is about time that more people who are intimately associated and more families who are connected with royalty come forward to share their disapproval without fear or favour. Now, somebody who might disagree with Ben Goldsmith and who was always much more sympathetic to Meghan and Harry's plight, but Harry's in particular, was one of Ben's friends and one of my friends, darling Bergie. You remember our Bergie? That's Christina, daughter of the Princess Elizabeth of Yugoslavia. You know, she's a chum of mine, and I happen to think, even though we disagree over Harry, that she's an absolutely divine woman. You know, she has her critics, but all I can tell you is that in my dealings with Christina, she's been nothing less than a joy, a delight, full of humour and whimsy and beauty and fun. And I just think she's delicious. I could be wrong, but that's how I found her to be, you know. And she's an avid basketeer. She loves the broadcast. And she's the King's third cousin, by the way. So, you know, you might remember that she was gracious enough to share with us the exclusive story of how Princess Michael of Kent's horse was killed when it bolted into traffic as Christina was riding it. Do you remember that? And before she gave me her blessing to recount that story on her behalf to you guys, before that, that entire story was the stuff of fable, of royal folklore. Nothing had been confirmed. It was the stuff of chatter. Well, with Bergie's blessing, I was able to reveal all the facts to you for the very first time, including the location. And that location was Ormley Lodge, home of the Goldsmiths, the family home. And, you know, they all watch the show, by the way. Just so you know, and just so you understand the company you're in. They all watch this show. The Oxenbergs, the Kents, Lady Annabelle, the Queen's Companions. Old Starkey as well, Coo Stark. She's a friend of Bergie's. Yeah, she tunes in. She used to date Prince Andrew, of course. Yeah, old Starkies. I mean, what else have they got to do in the evenings, these people? Do you understand? There's nothing on the box these days, is there? There's nothing on the box. Corrie isn't what it used to be. So what else have they got to do? There's no Dame Edna, so they tune into Old River. Yeah, just the same as all of us, dear. Well, the young Christina, daughter of Princess Elizabeth, would be frolicking around Ormley Lodge, where she crashed the horse. She would be frolicking around the lodge with the young children, the Goldsmith children. So you had Ben, darling Ben, you had Zach, And it was a blended family in with the Burleys, So there was India and Robs and Roops and Charlie and Mima, darling Mima. You all know Jemima Khan, my dear. She ended up being one of Diana's besties. And, well, she had a taste for the Pakistani, didn't she, like Diana? They loved their Pakistani men, and they had a taste for the Pakistani. And I've tasted a few Pakistanis in my time as well, my dear. I must confess, I've taken many a Pakistani as a lover. And they used to take me behind the counter at the 7-Eleven, and they'd allow me to have a free box of ciggies in exchange for services rendered, shall we put it that way, which was quite generous, and I thought it was rather a good deal, actually. But I digress. Ben Goldsmith, Harry's old chum and Christina's old chum and familial associate. Well, he's an absolute angel. Of course he's an angel. I really like him, I mean, he's a devilish angel. He's devilish. But I do adore him, and he's quite outspoken. You might remember that he was quite outspoken during the Coronation, because he was fed up, like all of us were, with elements being watered down, not so theatrical, no tiaras, I mean, what's all that about? And he was very vocal about all of that, which I appreciated. And he's very chummy, with another Ben, in our world, then we call them the Bens. The Bens. There's so many of these Bens about, but I'm speaking specifically. Ben Goldsmith and, Goldie, and Ben Elliot. Ben Elliot is the King's step-nephew, I suppose you could say. He's, Annabel Elliot's son. Annabel Elliot being the Queen's companion and sister, who is absolutely fabulous, absolutely impeccable designer, of great taste. She's a wonderful gal. She's charming, smashing. And Ben Elliot is divine. He's so tall and he's so spruce, and his eyes are heavenly, darlings. Heavenly eyes. A dish. So needless to say, it's a watershed moment this week. A watershed moment, and I take some comfort in it, really, Grand families coming forward to state their disapproval. This is wonderful, If you're not aware, by the way, Ben's father, Sir Jimmy Goldsmith, was a billionaire. He's dead now. He was a very successful financier and billionaire and quite a character. And of course, he went on to marry Lady Annabelle. So, these are chums who have been quiet and now they are talking. And they're not mincing their words. And I'm here for it. Unforgiveable. Our handsome king attended a film premiere last night. This was the premiere of Ocean with David Attenborough. And the film highlights how the ocean has shaped the world and why the future of the planet is intertwined with the health of the ocean. Well, you'd be hard-pressed to find me in the ocean without a wetsuit, which I hate wearing anyway. I do love swimming, I've got to tell you. Although I've also had a bit of a fear of the sea, to be honest with you, and its vastness. I'm not that comfortable dipping into it. But especially these days with what goes into it. It's so sad, isn't it, my dear? The sewage, the chemicals, and now they're in all of our rivers and lakes and streams. It really depresses me, and I don't even like going in swimming pools and lidos these days. I read articles about what's in swimming pools, the amount of urine, the gallons of urine from hundreds of people, and how the water's never really changed. And chlorine, I'm afraid, the effects of chlorine don't really count for me. I mean, they're just sort of covering it up. It's still in there, the urine and fecal matter and the white surf that you see in the sides of swimming pools and everything. That's dead skin cells, the flesh, all these humans. There's all kinds of bits in there, aren't there? People aren't that hygienic, most of them. So it's put me right off of water, which is sad for me because I'm Cancerian. I like to be near water. I like to be in it and splashing about and frolicking and all of this, that and the fourth. But it's just not very pure now, is it? I digress, but puts me right off a jacuzzi, my dears. Puts me right off a hot tub. His Majesty, as Prince of Wales, first marked the issue of oil and plastic pollution in the sea in 1970 at the age of 21. And since then, the King has continued to champion the importance of ocean health. And it was a glamorous affair, I've got to tell you. Queen Camilla has done it again, and she sent my pulse racing in red. I thought it was so gorgeous. I loved seeing her in this luscious, vibrant tone of red. Doesn't it suit her so well? I absolutely love it. And do you see the beauty of the winter season? She is in the winter season, and it's perhaps her most beautiful. She's in her prime. So that must be encouragement for us all, my dear. And here she is with 5-year-old Harrison. She planted the final poppies in an installation at the Tower to mark 80 years since the end of the war. And this act of remembrance saw Her Majesty representing all those who served with the nation, with Harrison planting his poppy on behalf of the young. The Tower Remembers is a stunning installation recalling the sacrifice and resilience of the wartime generation, and it's going to stand as a reminder of the long-lasting impact of conflict. The tower, which was bombed during the Blitz, will display 30,000 ceramic poppies on the lawn to mark the year of remembrance. And I'm going to leave you with some really lovely scenes from the D-Day celebration, the celebratory tea party for veterans at Buckingham Palace, with the treats and the bunting and many delights that were pulled together by the royal household. And those in attendance included British and Commonwealth Armed Forces veterans, Wrens, Special Operations executives, and home front contributors, accompanied by their families and their carers. And to mark the special occasion, the marble corridor of Buckingham Palace was adorned with bunting made from the fabrics that have been recycled from the royal estates. And it would be nice if we were at the party as well, wouldn't it, my dears, raising a glass of champagne and a toast to each other. Actually, I'm wearing champagne, aren't I, today? I'm in champagne tones. I fancy a glass of champagne now. A few bubbles and a little bit of fizz, quite nice. My favourite is actually a white burgundy, not champagne, I'm talking white wine here. A white burgundy that I once had. It was so divine, so delicious. But champagne will do the trick. A little bit of fizz, wonderful. If you fancy treating me to a glass of champagne, my tip jar is in the description box. Cheers, bottoms up, and toodle pip.